Good evening. I have 7 o'clock. Welcome to the meeting of the Plymouth Community School Board for May 5th. Happy Cinco de Mayo. The pledge, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. First item on the agenda is to accept the agenda. Any additions or corrections? There aren't. I will consider a motion then to accept the agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 1.3, audience participation. Welcome everyone. Is there anyone that would like to discuss any agenda items this evening? Okay, one at a time. We'll have another chance near the end of the agenda if you get inspired. Section 2 of our agenda is the consent agenda. Are there any items listed that a board member would like to pull out and have considered separately? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion on the consent agenda. So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Discussion. Do you want to make a presentation or get some hires?
Well, we have, I think if we have more than one.
A hire.
A hire. We have Jeff Spencer here. Jeff, would you like to stand up for just a second? I'm recommending tonight to the Board of Trustees that we hire Jeff Spencer as the new principal at Washington Discovery Academy. We started out with 38 applicants. We interviewed 8. We took 2 to the committee, and the committee made a selection of Jeff Spencer. Jeff is from another new tech school in Decatur Township in the Indianapolis area, so he knows he understands Washington Discovery Academy well, and will hit the ground running. He come with his wife and 4 children to Plymouth, and we're excited to have him.
Welcome, Jeff. We had an opportunity to not only have updates on the process, and thanks for everyone that was part of the process, but also to chat with Jeff and grill him intensely before our meeting here. All for first impressions are usually pretty good. That we've got a good man here coming to Plymouth, and certainly welcome his whole family when they have a chance to get up here. I'm sure the community will do so as well. I think I'd also be remiss, I'll speak for myself. We've gone through a transition at Washington over, and Amy, thank you for all that you've done in maintaining, I think, a smooth atmosphere, a smooth transition, and so our gratitude. Any other comments, or we have a motion second, correct? Yeah. So with that, we have a motion and second. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Call for the board.
Welcome, Jeff.
Thank you. Okay. Section 3, our business transactions. We're going to start with, as we normally do, our focus on learning. This evening we have Widener School of Inquiry representative.
Yes. Jen Felke, the co-director at WSOI, is going to introduce her 3 students for the focus on learning.
Yeah, you can face that way. That's great. Michael, Duff, and I are really excited to bring with us 3 of our sophomores. They're going to introduce themselves. And they had an opportunity as part of their food chem class. It's their food, science, and chemistry class in Widener School of Inquiry to complete a research paper about food insecurity. And they're going to tell you a little more about it. There were 5 of you, correct? Everyone couldn't come. There were 6 total. Who had the opportunity to go to the World Food Prize at Purdue University last month with Mr. Riley and Mr. Corso. And so we're gonna kind of go through the slideshow, and they're gonna tell you a little bit about their learning in that process. And I'm gonna go ahead and start with Sydney, and go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Sydney Espick. My paper was about water and sanitation in Sierra Leone. We had to pick one of the factors that affected food security. We had to discuss that and in front of an expert at the World Food Prize presentation and around other students who had the same factors and countries. And we got to tour the Purdue campus and learn about the different majors and minors that they offered there. The picture is beautiful. I had a lot of fun there. I learned a lot about the Purdue campus and about what they offered there. We learned about nanotechnology, which was amazing. We learned about how insecure food is in the world, and that opened my eyes to the different things that impact food security other than just growing crops and having people farm it.
Thank you, Sydney. Sarah, do you want to?
I went there, I don't know what I was expecting. I have to say this was a truly unique experience. I had not done anything like this. Not only did I get to improve my writing skills, but I learned about a country that I had little to no knowledge of prior to this. And I was already considering going to Purdue to study in the major of veterinary science. And it was a great experience to be able to tour the campus. And when we got into the room with the 3 experts and the other students, I could tell that they had deliberately taken us from all our groups, so we were placed with people we didn't know, and it pulled us out of our comfort zone so we could meet others, and it kind of broke down barriers. I can say that I made some friends from other schools at World Food Prize and found that we had quite a bit in common. And it was very interesting. There I am, you probably can't see me. And it was just amazing to be able to learn about others that had done the same thing that we had, come from other places. And I did my presentation on Poland, and I did not know that they suffered from water scarcity. And I can't say enough about the food there. It was really good.
Thank you, Sarah. Michael?
Okay, so the biggest thing that I learned was the fact that Grenada is even a country. And you don't know how many hairs I plucked out of my head trying to find research about it, because I thought I couldn't find anything about it. And there I am with my nice dorky smile. The things I found most intriguing were the biology and science stuff that was at Purdue. Like agronomy was very interesting. I got to play with sand and soil, and in the wildlife services I got to see a bunch of petrified fish. And Mr. Riley also learned something from this, that bringing me at 10 p.m. to an ice cream store is not a good idea, because at that point I want to go to bed and take my shower.
Michael was excited to tell the ice cream story. So.
That's probably my biggest point.
Thank you very much. Any questions for them about their experience?
There are Purdue experts. Come on now.
Yeah, I'm so glad you enjoyed the campus. It's
Yeah.
beautiful, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How many days were you down?
That too.
2 days?
Thursday and Friday.
Where were your meetings at mostly?
They were in different rooms.
Were you, okay. Were you over on the ag campus, ag side of campus?
Yeah.
Okay. That's my favorite.
Food's good too.
Very good, yes.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Experience. Very, very cool.
You're welcome.
Very interesting. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Meeting started at 7. Okay, we'll move on to 3.2, present selections for curriculum content adoption.
Yes, the textbook adoption committee has decided on their top 2 choices for the Social Studies 2015 adoption. These choices will be on public display for 2 weeks. So We'll bring our final choice to the board meeting on June for your approval. So right now, just acknowledging that we're bringing you our top 2 choices, and they will be located in the boardroom for the next 2 weeks.
Great, so no action needed this evening?
Nope.
Thank you very much. Thanks for all involved in going through that process. 3.3, consider transportation proposal.
Yes, I don't know if you've had a chance to look at the 2016-2017 biennium school formula, but it's changed considerably. We will see a 3-year reduction in the complexity index as it shifts from free and reduced textbooks as a benchmark to food stamps and foster care as a benchmark. We are projected to get $1.4 million in 2016 and then another $400,000 in 2017 from the complexity index change.
Can I interrupt?
Yeah.
What is TAMP?
Well, we looked that up today. It's temporary assistance
For needy families.
Needy families. Glad we looked that up. Wish I could have remembered it. And that's something we're going to have to find out a little bit more about is, you know, if we're doing the right job with our families, if there's something else we need to be doing. So I've asked to meet with Senator Mishler. I haven't had a response yet. However, the foundation dollar per ADM will increase approximately $2 million in 2016 and $400,000 in 2017, starting in 2016. The full-day kindergarten will count as 1 instead of 0.5, and the state will eliminate the full-day kindergarten grant. The state is predicting an increase in special education, career and technical education, and honors diploma funding for Plymouth. They are also predicting a slight decrease in Title I funding. The bottom line is that the state's prediction is that we are going to lose approximately $80,000 in 2016 and then pick up $50,000 of that in 2017, which means we would be down to minus $30,000 from where we are today, if you follow my math. Now that you get through that crazy formula, the bottom line is the only reason we're going to lose money is that they're predicting that we're going to lose students, which we haven't done over the last 10 years. They're saying that we're going to lose 14 students in 2016 and then stay exactly at that level in 2017. So to make sure that this doesn't happen, I would like to have your permission for Dave Show to investigate running buses to some of the local communities, Argus, Culver, La Paz. I believe with some strategic marketing and providing transportation, we can increase our ADM so we will not lose money but gain money. Raymond is already offering transportation to people from out of district, and Argus just sent out their letter offering transportation to people from other districts. So it would not be something that other schools weren't doing. I talked to Dave about this, but he hadn't had a chance to really look at it closely enough. So with your permission, I'd like to have him investigate that and then get back to us in June whether he's able to do that and what he's able to do. I don't want to ask him to do something that he can't do, but I'd like to investigate that.
So do you establish pickup points?
Yes.
So people can come to different locations and you just pick them up at that location?
That's correct. You'd have to get permission. Culver Military has been after us to come down there and pick up people from their campus anyway, grades K through 8. And so we probably, with Culver, we'd go to the academy, someplace on their property. Going up north, we'd probably look at one of the abandoned truck stops on Section 31 there where we pick up students. And, I don't know exactly where we'd go if we went into Argus, but that would be something we'd be doing this next month. We'd be looking specifically where to go and And then if we're going to do that, we would have to do some strategic marketing to those communities and in those communities to let them know that we're offering that and go from there.
Well, it's become very competitive. I'm not so
think it makes
completely
sense.
on the idea, but if everybody else is doing it, why?
It's definitely worth having Dave show up and investigate further.
Take a look at it, see.
Is that a motion by somebody?
So moved.
Second.
Motion second. On the description here, for the funding formula, it's a 2-year formula, right? 2-year budget?
Yes.
So why is there a 3-year reduction in the complexity in that? So I don't understand that relationship.
I don't really understand how the third year is going to last either, or what's going to happen in that third year, but I assume we're going to lose it completely. I would assume that the complexity index will go completely away from free and reduced textbooks and then all the way over to those 3 things that are there, but I don't have that information yet.
Okay. And then, this really isn't what we're considering, but I'm curious. The going on full-day kindergarten, counting 1 instead of a half, and then eliminating the grant, how did we come out of that?
Just depends on how many students that we have. We'll probably do well on that because we've been having close to 300 students in our kindergarten classes. And, the grant has only given us about 85% of those students. So we're probably going to come out a little bit. That's probably going to be to our advantage. However, if you look at the entire state, you look at Hamilton County, for instance, those schools were Hamilton Southeastern and Noblesville and Carmel, and some of those schools were getting 6, 7, 8% increases. And so what some of those schools are going to get for full-day kindergarten now is going to be much larger than what we're going to get, because we're just going to get our ADM. I don't know. I think, even though from Senator Mishler's Senate budget to this budget, I guess I felt pretty good because we have a history of gaining students instead of losing students.
With that history, I don't know how they predict where it was.
Well, I think we figured it out. They took our February count day, and that's what they used for.
Yeah, but most schools have a lower February count than
Right.
the fall count anyway.
Right. So anyway, we're predicted to lose 0.3% in 2016, and then make back up, increase 0.6% in 2017. I'd like to make sure that we're up 2 or 3% each year in the biennium.
2 or 3%.
Think we can do it?
Okay. Not every dollar is the same color when it comes in terms of what it can be used for. I know in total it doesn't seem like a lot of change, but are there particular programs that are going to be challenged?
Special ed could be a challenging program. Right now, we get a lot of money with our autistic students that we have, and I guess I would say that I'm pretty proud of the programs we put together for our kids that are on the autism spectrum. And there is a new for-profit autism therapy center coming in that could take away some of our elementary students that are on the spectrum. So we could very easily lose some big dollars there. I think career and technical education, we are probably going to go up more than what they say we are. I'm a little worried about Title I. Title I dollars, we're expected to lose some this year and next year. And that's hard to replace. I don't know how to replace that except by making sure we have additional students.
Those are my questions. Any other? We have a motion and second for providing permission to really have Dave investigate, right? Yes. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Item 3.4, review professional development 2015-16.
Yes, Jim Condon is here. He and several other administrators came to us with a proposal to go away from the early release on Fridays to a late arrival on Monday in order to provide weekly staff development. So I'll let, does that mean the Cubs won? Or?
Probably the resident fee.
So I'll let Jim go ahead and make the presentation, and then we'll have questions you can certainly ask.
Thank you, Mr. Tyree. Thank you, members of the board, for allowing us to come before you this evening. I'm speaking on behalf of the PCSC administrative team, specifically the building principals, and bringing this recommendation for a late arrival day, 1 day per week to you. The day in question would be Tuesdays. Quite simply, what it would look like, and then we'll get into the whys and the hows. The recommendation would be that school would begin 1 hour late on Tuesdays in each building. And we ask why this is needed. I want you to be aware of some background information that we're currently dealing with. As many of you have probably read and been involved, reading through the legislature and the plans or those things that are not currently moving as quickly as we would like in Indianapolis. The Department of Education recently released new learning standards, and the new assessments are still being constructed that are directly related to those standards. Now, simultaneous with that is the expectation that we're going to be putting those into play as early as next year. We're in May of this year already. With that, we want to develop a professional development plan that provides for continuous and ongoing opportunities for the development of curriculum and assessments to make sure that our students and our staff are performing up to capacity, all intended to meet the maximum needs of our learners. What does it look like? Well, if we were able to bring staff in late 1 day per week, those meetings could take a number of different features or focuses. Those would be including state initiatives that are directed to all schools, Plymouth included, building-wide initiatives, or large group initiatives within the school themselves. They might take on the features of small group or team meetings that focus on curriculum planning, development of assessments, and disaggregation of student performance results, studying that data and learning newer and better ways to have students perform to their maximum. Common questions that we envision that might arise. Are plans in place for the supervision of children who are dropped off before school begins while teachers are meeting in groups? So in other words, mom and dad might be going to work. This might really put a burden on them that they are non-bus riding children, and mom and dad need to drop off the children at the building. What are we going to do to ensure that the students are supervised and that they're safe? That has taken up much of our time. In speaking of this, I want you to be aware that there are plans that are in place. In the elementary buildings, Mrs. Ritchie would provide adults who would supervise those children. And at the high school and junior high level, we would include our classified staff in the supervision of those children before school, making sure they're safe and they're overseen. Questions, comments?
So I think your schools, the teachers think it's a great idea. It's what the teachers want to do. Do they like the idea of the Tuesday mornings?
So we've included teacher discussion at all the building levels. I don't want to speak for every teacher, but I would speak on behalf of the administrative team. I would speak on behalf of the teachers that I've been involved in discussion with. There was a committee that was put together which was inclusive of teacher representation. And I think that began as early as last school year, it seems like, bled into this school year. And it was a joint recommendation on behalf of all those stakeholders to pursue this. The issue at hand, to help the understanding, is the types of professional development that we engaged in now included like 3 full school days where students didn't attend school and staff worked on various initiatives. The problem was the development wasn't continuous, it wasn't sustained, because it was a long time before we had the opportunity to meet again and go deeper. By meeting on a weekly basis, we think that we would be able to give immediate collaboration opportunities, we would be able to dig deeper, give feedback that's reflective in nature based on curriculum, assessments, and student needs in general.
I would say for us at the elementary, and Brooke could probably speak to this a little bit, horizontal meetings where you have all of your kindergarten teachers get together. We're trying now to do those after school, but there's so many different things that people have going on family-wise that if we had that set time every week, they would have that opportunity, as well as like our Title I and our interventionist meetings. Right now we're trying to schedule those on Friday afternoons at 1:30. So I think teachers are really excited about that you know, it would kind of already be built in there and they can plan on it. And a lot of the principals are having like weekly staff meetings and things like that, but you just can't fit everything into 25 minutes or a half hour. So I think teachers really kind of look forward to the opportunity to have that to really dig into some things.
I would echo that in our school too, we've looked at ourselves and how we can improve at Lincoln, and one of them that is the staff has decided is collaboration time and have more frequent collaboration. And like Carrie said, with only a half hour, we go twice a month at a half hour. It's just by the time you get in there and get started, it's time to leave, and the kids are going or there. So I would say that my staff has come to that realization. I've tried to be creative in the way that we've done staff meetings so they are most productive, but still it's all within a half an hour time.
And I am in a building that we do meet every week, but it's for 30 minutes, and there's some things I really want to do that I need a bigger block of time, that those 3 PD days sometimes have not been ours to use, and again, it's kind of a one shot, and you wait a couple months to really hone it up again. So,
I just think it's so important. I'm glad that you contacted Liz Ritchie. My kids go to her after-school program for a half hour or so, and I think, you know, I work, my husband works, you know, we will probably have to take advantage of the before school. I think there are a lot of parents and that will be really interested to see maybe what we can do for before school, whether it's looking at maybe age or see what Mrs. Ritchie has. So thanks for looking into that, because that's a huge deal for a lot of parents I know.
The safety always comes first. So if we couldn't ensure the safety of our students, we wouldn't be here.
Jim, did any of the buildings run it past any parent groups or anything to get a response?
I did not at the building level.
No. We have a letter that's going out to parents. It's supposed to go out tonight. I forgot to have it translated, so it's going out tomorrow. It just says that we're bringing this to you tonight. We don't expect you to make a decision on it tonight. We'll see how the parents respond to it. And bring it back in June for an action.
So this replaces the early release then on Friday. So our school will go full day. And what does it do for like in-service days?
We have plucked out 6 days during the year that there will not be professional development, and that will give us 1 professional development day, which next year the calendar committee scheduled for September 4th, and that will give us a chance to meet one time with the entire staff for a 6-hour day. And then the rest of it would be, the rest of the professional development would be that weekly. And the days that we pick, those can be changed, but I want to have something ready for discussion on Monday with the Teachers Association. We have the Tuesday of each grading, at the end of each grading period, and then there's a Tuesday before vacations, a couple of vacations that we picked. But like I said, those could be changed. So really, school won't be every week, but it'll be almost every week that we would meet.
Other questions?
I think it has a lot of merit based on everything that comes out of the state with new standards and new assessments and new demands. You've got to have that communication process of meeting with your teachers, and the end result is the kids are going to benefit from that. So I think that it does have some merit.
Thank you.
So this evening, we're receiving information, asking questions, no action, and we'll set this for June.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We go to school an hour and a half more than we need to on every day in the state minimum for the elementary and the high school. So by going to school an hour late, we're still able to get our minimum time. One of the things that I said was that if we had a later run, a 2-hour delay, we wouldn't have professional development. We're trying to look into as many things as possible, but by next week, when we get some comments back from parents, and we go through discussion, again, we've already discussed this once, we go through discussion, I'm sure we'll bring up some other things that we have to maybe go look at some more.
Very good, thank you. Item 3.5 is review the handbooks, K-12.
I'd like to introduce Mr. Olson to review recommended changes to the.
Thank you. I have with me also some administrators from the other levels as we've gone to the corporation handbook, so I'll be handling the county corporation part and the PHS part, and then each of the different levels will handle their pieces that they have. This is a process that started several months ago. We had groups meeting that included parents, current students, and teachers to first come forth and bring ideas of changes to the handbook, and then discuss potential changes and meet together as a corporation group to enact some of those. So we'll just kind of go through kind of the overviews, and if you have specific questions, we can answer those at the end. Corporation-wide changes that we've made, and you have the specific language in the other document that I sent to you earlier. We changed the visitor statement to reflect meeting IDs there in the buildings. The parents felt that that was something important to have in the handbook, so that when parents were new to the corporation and were first coming in, they would know that or have a place where they could have found that. Added a statement about cameras in the buildings, also came from the parent group. We moved the personal property statement. It was kind of buried under the technology part and kind of moved it up so it was just in a more prominent place in the handbook, basically saying that students who bring personal property are responsible for that property and any damage thereof too. Added a board policy regarding field trips to student activities section to reflect some concerns from the elementaries regarding field trips and volunteers and parents. So clean that up. We just took it right out of board policy. We reordered the language regarding attendance and attendance contracts, just so that, again, kind of cleaning things up. There were some redundancies in there, so we simplified it so it would be a little easier for parents to understand. We clarified how absences can be excused when the student is on an attendance contract, so that it was more explicitly stated that you would need to go to a medical doctor, have a school administrator, or if you came in, saw the nurses, and the nurse sent you home, that would be considered an excused absence. So there's some confusion there based on some phone calls that we've gotten from parent concerns. We changed supervised out-of-school suspension to supervised suspension, and that came from the administration team, just in kind of how we term things and look at things, and just causing a bit of confusion. And then last couple of things, we changed the formatting on the immunizations chart, again, to make it a little easier to read, a little more understandable for people in the form that we have now, and then we added the Hep A vaccination for K through first grades. That's a new vaccination that we started this fall. So we got that back into the chart. And then elementary.
We do not have any changes or additions to the addendum section of the elementary handbook.
The language that was added for the field trips is something that was brought up, but again, a change was made to the corporation level handbook, so it didn't need to be added to the EW section. So we don't have any, as I said, don't have any updates or any additions that we're making to the elementary yet.
And then I'll have Mr. Burke come up for Riverside.
We did have some changes to our addendum here, and what it was trying to bridge the gap between the elementaries and Lincoln Junior Highs, what we were trying to do with just some language and clarification of when the building was open, and clarification for tardies and being in class and the opportunities for bussers to have breakfast, just to clear that up for the language for the parents to understand. We did add our tardy policy in there, and just the definition of, I'm going to contact you at this many tardies, I'm going to contact you here, and there'll be consequences for not coming. Another thing we added in there was the definition of perfect attendance for some of our parents as they've been calling in, I don't understand why my son or daughter doesn't have perfect attendance, they were out for this short period. So we put that in there. We give our students an opportunity, to complete work, and we put some guidelines in there for parents to see. We call it Catch-Up Cafe, when they need to report to Catch-Up Cafe and the expectations we have on students as well. And another element we put in there was for our athletic, since our 6th graders do participate at Lincoln Junior High for some of those extracurricular sports activities, we put in their expectations of physicals, having them on file and what that would represent, academic standards as well for our students. And I believe, is that it? Yeah, then we'll be on to Lincoln Junior. Any questions for Riverside and what we've added to that addendum? Okay, thank you.
From Lincoln Junior High standpoint, we just had the language here about backpacks and computer bags, some information there. Students are still allowed to carry those things to and from school, but we're asking during the academic day to keep them in their locker. Corporation invested a lot of money in computer bags to keep those computers safe, and we're asking students use those computer bags to go to and from classes rather than carry a book bag with a computer in it. So that's the only change that we've added.
You're welcome. And back to the high school, some changes we need. As you know, we are moving from trimesters to semesters next year, so there's some language cleanup, changing everything so it reflected that change in semesters. Based on what the students informed us of, they said to remove the club officer names from the handbook. They would like us to start a clubs page on the website that would give a description of the club and then list officers there. I think they feel that people will be more apt to see it on the web page as opposed to in the handbook. We clarified formal dress as being one piece. This came from parent concerns regarding prom and this recent fashion trend to the bikini dress that was brought to us early in the prom season this year. So based on that and student discussion of it amongst the committee members, they felt that that was probably a good thing to do. So no bare midriffs basically is what we're asking for change. Sweetheart dance language from the students, they would like that to be gender neutral, which we did a year ago with prom. They asked that we do that with Sweetheart Dance. We also removed the appeals process from the athletic code in terms of when there was athletic code violations, and that was based on discussions with Mr. Tyree and Mr. Huian about how that process should work. We added language on vape pens to the athletic code. This is something we brought to you earlier in the year for the regular student body. Discussion with Mr. Benj, who would like that as part of the athletic code. Same type of concern. We don't really know what are in these. What it says they're using versus what they are. And we talked about the athletic code already. Finally, we had changes to the academic Hall of Fame. And again, mostly reflective of semesters. So we went from 12 trimesters to 8 semesters, and we had the departments talk about that they want to change their criteria in terms of what GPA or how many classes you have to take, given the fact that there's going to be less semesters, less times with semesters versus trimesters. Any questions on either of those or the corporation stuff while I'm up here, and then I'll turn it over to Mr. Dell. Mr. Dell?
So at WSI, we're coming into year 4. So there was some updates we need to add, and we
has removed the MailChimp statement. That's our way of communicating with parents that are involved in WSOI. It actually should say revised, and I did change that. So they didn't remove it. It was saying weekly, and we just changed that to monthly. It moved to more of a monthly kind of send out. We updated our facilitator list. It was a little outdated. Updated the courses and AP dual credit list. And change some language regarding dual credits. Again, as we develop the curriculum and get credentialing of our staff, which can change from year to year and who can offer what. Obviously, we still work very hard at reflecting the same opportunities, or we do offer those same opportunities, both WSI and traditional. So as we continue to do that, we need to reflect that. So. And then, like I said, we just updated some course descriptions. So most of this is just the kids knew the kind of courses that we had to offer, and we're just kind of getting those in for year 4. So. Any questions for us?
There are 2 other pieces that we'll be bringing to you in our point. There's a change in the AUP that Mr. Johnson is working on that will become part of the handbook.
Change of what, I'm sorry?
The acceptable use policy, for the computers, that he's been working on that hasn't quite been finished yet. And then a group of the middle school and high school administrators, along with Allie Holland, have been working on a tier system for permissions within the network. So as students kind of prove they're more responsible, they would have more privileges to connect to different types of websites. If there are issues that they have with using the AUP or their computer usage, they could be taken down to a lower level that would restrict them to academic content only. And we're working on fine-tuning that language as we've been experimenting this term with putting some students into that and getting feedback from them about how it works for the teachers. So we'll have those for you probably in June. The AUP's done, I'm assuming that's what it is. Thank you.
What, you have a question, please?
No, I just would like clarification on the removing the appeals process in the athletics. The parents would still have the chain of command, the right to talk to the chain of command administration, is correct?
Well, the way I would understand it is that what basically we're doing is taking away the appeal to the athletic council. Right. And the appeal to the school board, which is in there now, and they would still have the ability to appeal to the principal or the superintendent.
Okay, thank you.
Questions? So is this something, is this an action item for us this week?
No, we have not been doing that.
So would this be pending the action in June on the schedule that we just talked about as well? Would that be reflected there, or need to be reflected?
Oh, in terms of the change of days, yes, that would also go in, because we do list out our schedules when the buildings are open and when we drop off, and as they clarify those things, we want to put that in as well.
Well, that's usually not done until August. So we usually, since the handbook is digital, we can make some changes in the handbook. Usually I wait until about 2 or 3 weeks before school starts, and then I send out a letter to the teachers reminding them when school is going to start and what the times are. And I don't think anybody has had any conversations with Mr. Schoaf yet to talk about the bus schedules, so I would hate to determine those things without having a conversation with him. But those are the things that we've always done late in the year anyway. Now, since it's a digital handbook, we can make those changes.
Very good. Thank you for all the effort. Appreciate the update. Item 3.6, consider St. Joseph Regional Medical Center School Nurse Summer Contract.
Yes, on your packet is the amendment to include the summer schedule. It never gets done until we know exactly how long summer school is going to be and where it's going to be. That's why it's not included in the beginning of year contract. So we include it now. We add an addendum or amendment to it, and we just like your permission to approve the nursing staff during summer school.
Heard the recommendation, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved. Second.
Motion and second to approve the school nurse summer contract. Questions? All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thanks, Katie. 3.7, consider resolution 2015-3 for temporary advancement.
Yes, this is, if we do not receive our tax disbursement by the end of June, we will have a deficit balance in our transportation fund. And to avoid the deficit balance, we would like to request a temporary transfer of $600,000 from the rainy day fund to the transportation fund. And this temporary interfund loan will be paid back once the tax disbursements from the county have been paid to the school corporation.
For the recommendation, have the resolution entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second to approve. Questions? Just glad we can borrow from ourselves.
Let's do
Awesome.
the Indiana bond bank.
All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. 3.8, consider resolution 2015-4 for temporary advancement.
Same exact thing except for the capital projects fund. And the dollar amount would be requesting $800,000.
800.
Yes.
I make a motion to approve resolution 2015-4.
Second.
And motion and second on 2015-4. Again, cash flow issue. Settlement is late. Any other questions? All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Thanks, Kate. 3.9, legislative update.
You know, I talked about the new formula, and at this point, that's really all I'd like to talk about until we get a chance to go to a few meetings and hear some of the things that were hidden in some bills that we didn't know were there, and then maybe we can talk about those later, unless you have something you would like to talk about tonight.
From a financial perspective, there's a 1585, something like that, I'm still curious what it's going to be. It has to do with local income taxes. I don't think we're going to be negatively impacted, but kind of like what you're indicating, at the last minute, you're never quite sure. So I've got a printout. It's only 78 pages, so I haven't gotten through it all yet. But
sure, all the legislators read it.
Yeah, sure. So anyway, I don't think that's. If I see anything, I'll speak up. But other than that, nothing jumps out as other than some other issues that weren't so quiet, fairly quiet, in terms of direct impacts. Okay, we'll move on then to section 4 for superintendent remarks.
I make my comments tonight, as always, under the headings of our core values. 4.1, commitment to students. The Seeds of Change program, WDA Garden grant application is moving on to the judging phase. We were one of 500 applicants. We are now one of 50. We have to wait for the announcement on or about May 12th to see if we receive one of the grants, and that could be a substantial amount of money. So keep our fingers crossed there. 4.2, caring. Annual Teacher Appreciation Dinner is Wednesday afternoon, starting around 4 o'clock in the Red Rock Cafe. We'll be celebrating our teachers, Teacher Appreciation Week. Also be celebrating the careers of our retiring teachers and any former retired teachers who would like to come back and join us. We hope as many of you can be there as possible. That's tomorrow in the Red Rock Cafe. It's always a good evening, good food. 4.3, high expectations. PHS did a great job of celebrating the top 5% of this year's graduating class at Christos. All top 5% had over a 4.0 GPA. That was 14 students. We also listened as each student eloquently read an essay about his or her most inspirational teacher. It was a great evening. 4.4, team player. PHS worked with all of the schools to take part in a leadership week called the Power of One. When you visit the schools or the Facebook pages, you'll see some awesome leadership posters that were completed and now hang in each school. Each poster has a high school student in it and an elementary student in it, and it's a pretty impressive display. They'll eventually get me the bill for those posters, I'm sure. The DOE Title I and Title III did an audit of Plymouth Community School Corporation a couple of weeks ago. We're expecting an excellent report. Would have to say that Brooke Bussey and Andrew Hartley excelled in their presentation on this audit. And I'd like to thank them. It was a very short turnaround from when they received their job to when the DOE got here. To say they weren't nervous, I would be lying, but they did a fantastic job, and the DOE representatives sang their praises. Enjoyment, wasn't able to get there, but the variety show was last weekend and played to some great reviews, especially the skit on the time capsule. Riverside students presented a show called The American Revolution that once again got rave reviews. This week, Lincoln Junior High will present Shrek, the musical, and I'm sure that it will be received very well too. Also, I had the pleasure of watching Emma Lebersky compete in the Poetry Out Loud national finals last week in Washington, D.C. It was a streaming video of it. Being kind of an expert in the area of speech, also very biased, I would assume. I thought she would finish in the top 3. While she did not, I've seen judges be wrong in other contests too. So, we're still very proud of her. Upcoming meetings, May 15th, PHS Senior Recognition Assembly. You've all gotten your invitation and you'll all get a reminder on that. June 2nd, 2015, we'll have an evaluation executive session. June 2nd, then at 7 o'clock, that'll be at 6 o'clock. At 7 o'clock, there will be a regular board meeting. I have my preoperative test at IU Med Center that day and may not be back, so if I'm not, Mr. Hartley will be in charge. He's just now hearing of that. So. June 5th, 2015 is
He's got a gleam in his eye.
Yeah, I know. He's excited. Especially the evaluation part. Classified Appreciation Breakfast at Christos Banquet Center at 7 o'clock a.m. and you'll all be invited to that. And that's it for the evening. Thank you very much.
Any questions for Dan? Thanks, Dan. Back to the audience. Any members of the audience want to comment on the agenda items this evening? Carol.
Would somebody maybe clarify the statement about cameras in all the buildings, since everybody walks around with a camera in their hand?
I'm sorry?
As part of the corporation changes, cameras in buildings.
I think that because we have a CCTV system now, it's probably best if we put up signs that let people know that when they come in the building. I do agree with you that the world is full of cameras now, and everybody should expect to be on cameras, especially if you're a Baltimore policeman. But I think it's probably a good idea to have the signs up in the buildings, so just so when people come in, they can never say, "I didn't know I was being videoed."
Any other questions?
I just want to make a comment on the legislative update. You know, they came out, the General Assembly, after they closed, talked about a 2.3% increase to education.
I do think the public needs to be aware of about a third of that actually goes to about 8% of the students who go to either charter schools, get vouchers, or on the online courses. So a big chunk of that new money, and that's why finances are always a concern, still for many of the smaller communities, is it's not going to public schools.
Thank you. That's annoying. And misleading. Other comments? Yeah.
I'd just like to thank Mr. Hager and his staff and the interview committee, and especially the board for the welcome and the opportunity that I'm excited to get started. So, thank you all.
Great. Thanks for being here. If there are no other items, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned. Thank you.